Hello, this is Jay Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. Let's get right into it. So first we have Day 3 of Indiana University threatening violence towards peaceful protesters from fraud posted by Frosty Sloman, and that's a tweet from Aiden Colmus, who tweeted, Day 3 of snipers in the University of admin escort for the Gaza encampment, and they shared a picture of the snipers. And I don't know if I comment on that one, but yeah, I definitely do think that goes against the rights of the students to free expression, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Randall Terry wins Constitution Party's presidential nomination from Ballot Access News. And I posted that, and I said, I don't really care for him, but having this guy in the White House would be absolutely hilarious. And I linked to his video he posted back in 2009 about when he was in the Obama mask, and it was rendered to Obama like he needs to take the taxpayer money for the abortion. And I said, I also added, he actually beat Obama in the 2012 Dem primaries in the Oklahoma Panhandle, funnily enough. So that's my thoughts on that. Then next we have, to be honest, I don't know why this would bother conservatives. These are the indoctrination mills which are destroying your country. The foot soldiers of the revolution, which these institutions created, have turned on their creators. Good, let them fight. From Clint Russell on Twitter. And I posted and I shared that. And that was him quote tweeting, with campus being closed because of the violent pro-Gaza encampment, extremists at Humboldt, Cal Poly Humboldt are expanding their Antifa-style occupation by building barricades and checkpoints like at Chaz. And my comment on this was, it's like when Al-Qaeda fights ISIS, you just can't help but be glad that the infighting is tearing them apart. Because neither of them, I would say, are really on your side. If you dare dissent from them at all, they'll come after you for it. So you really have to be grateful for this infighting, I would say. And next we have attorney filing lawsuit against Lyra PD after officers stormed man's home without warrant, from Cleveland19.com by Tom 13. And they added, they convinced his ex-girlfriend who moved out and handed over her keys to the landlord to bust down the door. And that just goes to show you that I personally would agree that, you need a warrant. The Constitution says warrant, so I definitely would agree with the attorney filing the lawsuit against them. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Ron DeSantis plans to expel all students from Florida who protest Israel, and that's a post from Narco Federation. And it links to a tweet from Solomon Ahmed. Ron DeSantis plans to expel all students from Florida who protest Israel, so Americans can't study America if they speak out against the actions of a foreign government, totalitarian society, police state. And and then they added, Christian Zionism is truly repressed and simply veiled anti-Semitism. Their goal is to create Jewish colonies for Western interests in the region, and the most religious fanatics because we believe it will trigger Armageddon and the genocide of Jews by the heavenly host of Christ. And I said, definitely goes against the free speech and free expression, As I said in, I think, a previous episode, a lot of conservatives become progressives when it comes to cancel culture and censorship the second that anti-Semitism brought up, and that's something that's important to remember, I would say. We gotta be for all kinds of free speech and free expression, even if we disagree with it, and that's my thoughts there. Then we have, let's try and predict the top 10 by popular vote of this year's poetry selection, and I posted that, and I said, the top 2 are usually pretty set, but the fight for third place onwards can be interesting. A 2020 top 10 for context: 1, Joe Biden, Democratic Party; 2, Donald Trump, Republican Party; 3, Joe Jorgensen, Libertarian Party; 4, Howie Hawkins, Green Party; 5, Rocky De La Fuente, Alliance Party; 6, Gloria La Riva, Party for Socialism and Liberation; 7, Kanye West, Birthday Party; 8, Don Blankenship, Constitution Party; 9, Brock Pierce, Independent; 10, Brian Carroll, American Solidarity Party. This year, I think the top 10 will be 1, Joe Biden, Democratic Party; 2, Donald Trump, Republican Party; 3, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Independent; 4, Chase Oliver, Libertarian Party. He hasn't gotten his party's nomination yet, but I think we'll get it. 5, Jill Stein, Green Party. She hasn't gotten her party's nomination yet either, but I think she'll get it. 6, Claudia De La Cruz, Party for Socialism and Liberation. 7, Peter Sonsky, American Solidarity Party. 8, Randall Terry, Constitution Party. 9, Cornel West, Independent. 10, Rochelle Fruit, Socialist Workers Party. And yeah, that's my thoughts there, the Hills of Aviators comedy. Cornel West and Knives is a pretty hot take. He seems to get more coverage than Joe Stein at this point. And I said, West campaign seems to be kind of falling apart from my perspective. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. And that's my thoughts there. Then we have 2 Pennsylvania men have been jailed for 30 days without bail for conducting ultrasounds on cows without a veterinarian license, which many believe is not necessary to conduct ultrasounds on cows. And this is a tweet from Viva Frey, and he adds, at Barnes Law is on the case, and he says it's the most outrageous thing he's seen in his career. And I said, my comment was, in response was, what's next? A license to toast in your own damn toaster? From Daryl Perry. He said that at the 2016 Libertarian Party convention about the driver's license, So that's my thoughts there. And yeah, I don't think you should have to ask government permission for anything, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have colleges have gone off the deep end. There is a way out from Lemon Limelight, and that's from an opinion piece in the New York Times. Colleges have gone out of the deep end. There is a way out, and there's a profound confusion on campus right now about the distinction between free speech, disobedience, and lawlessness. At the same time, some schools are also seem confused about their fundamental academic mission. Does the university believe it should be neutral toward campus activism, protecting it as an exercise of the students' constitutional rights and academic freedoms, but not cooperating with student activists to advance shared goals, or does it incorporate activism as part of the educational process itself, including by coordinating with the protesters and encouraging their activism? And I'm gonna skip over the rest of it here. And yeah, I think my response was colleges were never really in the shallow end, to be fair. The number one thing I don't like about the higher educators is that a lot of them think they have a right to rule over others. It's not a coincidence that my least favorite protest was also an Ivy League university president before getting elected. If Wilson knew how to hide his racism better, I think the intellectual class would still have him in the top 10 as well. So that's why I personally don't really care for any of the universities and how they try and push bully their ideology onto the public and their students, and that's my faults there. But I definitely do think that their students do have the right to free speech and free expression, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have the real migrant prosecuting North America isn't the Texas governor, it's Mexico's president, from USA Today by Flimsy Al 5563. And yeah, it just goes to show you that, authoritarians exist outside of the U.S.'s borders as well. That's important to remember. And yeah, I personally don't think we should be busing all these migrants around. But if they want to be bussed around, they should be able to. With that being said, I'm all for free travel. But it's important to remember that we might not have the resources to support them at our even if we want to. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Tucker Carlson is against dollar stores. Cross post from the Shit Say subreddit, and I posted that. And that post was I think it was on a Twitter post. At Tucker Carlson, libertarian economics was a scam perpetrated by the beneficiaries of the economic system that they were defending. I think you need to ask, does their economic system produce a lot of dollar stores? And it does. It's not a system that you want because it degrades people and it makes their lives worse. And it increases essentially the amount of ugliness in your society, and even increases ugliness as evil. So if it's such a good system, why do we have all these dollar stores? And it links to a Rumble video, I guess, where he says that. And I said, Carlson's interesting. Traditionally, when it comes to conservatives, I agree with their economic positions, but I disagree with most of their other positions. It's the exact opposite of Carlson. Most of his other positions are decent, but his economic positions are garbage. In my opinion, the GOP would probably be better off not running him than Trump this year, but that's just my thoughts on him. That issue. So, yeah, I think he's pretty much just Bernie Sanders if he was against all the woke stuff. And that's what I have to say there. And then we have another presidential candidate has been arrested for Mr. Beat on Twitter, and I posted that, and that was him quote tweeting Dr. Jill Stein, breaking Jill Stein, her campaign manager, and deputy campaign manager Jason Cole and Kelly Merrill Kayer have been arrested at Washington University in St. Louis for supporting approaches against Washington's ties to the war on Gaza. Video from Callie Eve Cox. And I said, I disagree with Stein quite a bit, but I respect someone willing to stand up for their principles like this. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have, the only value of this sleazy, gaudy spectacle has been to highlight the real role of U.S. corporate media, a part of the royal courtiers of it. That's why they can't include Assange on the list of persecuted journalists. It's done by the king, whom they can't displease. And that was Glenn Greenwald over Twitter, and I posted that, and that was him quote tweeting Greg Price, the White House Correspondents' Dinner, did a whole presentation on wrongfully detained journalists around the world. There was no mention of Julian Assange. And I said, they aren't journalists, they are propagandists. It's important to know the difference. I would say the more the U.S. government goes after you, the more of a journalist you are. And it's also important to remember that the U.S. government and its media apparatus are not your friends, and that's my thoughts there. Then we have libertarianism, unlike other political movements, does not lead itself to the search for saviors, strong men who will ride on a white horse to single-handedly save us, from Eric Brackey on Twitter, and I shared that, and he adds, we do however have many folk heroes, individuals who, for great deeds, set examples that empower us to save ourselves and our communities. And I agree with that. Libertarianism is about saving yourself, not having the politicians save you. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have former Representative Peter Meijer, a competitor to Justin Amash, ends bid for Michigan's Senate race from the Hills Have Aviators from WHMI.com. And I added, hope Amash can take it. It's definitely going to be hard. Then we have communists want to abolish the U.S. government from Karlin Borisenko on Twitter, and I posted that. And that was her quote tweeting Kyle Becker. Harvard students cheer as they replace the U.S. flag with the Hamas flag. Today's college students have more loyalty to terrorist organizations than to America. And I added, for the initial quote, communists want to abolish the U.S. government, I said, probably one of the only things I agree with them on. And, yeah, that's my thoughts on that issue. I don't really care how I probably wouldn't agree with what they replace the government with, but I definitely think our current government isn't working for what it's worth, and that's my thoughts there. Then we have journalist jailed for asking police a question about it. Seeks Supreme Court review from thefire.org by Lemon Limelight, and that's crossed from the Civil Liberty subreddit. And, yeah, I definitely would agree that it goes against your right to free speech and free expression if just for arresting her and imprisoning her for asking the police a question. That's my thoughts there. Then we have Hunter Got High from Afroman on YouTube, and I posted that, and I said, I don't think this subreddit's going to be wearing Afroman's candidacy for posts anymore, because, they shared, last year they shared that he was filing documents to officially run for president in 2024. But yeah, I like how he says in the song that Hunter's not in jail because he's rich, white, and well-connected. I think it's funny that the DNC shields hate all those groups, but they can go after Hunter because they need his father to get reelected, and his father was involved in his corruption. He didn't end up on the board of Burisma for no reason. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have the far right's campaign to explode the population from Politico, and I posted that, and I said, I guess having children is the new far-right dog whistle now, LOL. You'd think that the progressives want more kids so they could indoctrinate them, but I guess these kids probably wouldn't be going to public school. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And I think we're gonna wrap it up there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.